Hello everyone and welcome to another Make a Code Monday. My name is Martin from the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library. Today we'll be using the microbits radio functionality to send messages between two microbits. How it works is each microbit has the same set of symbols they can scroll through using the A and B buttons. Pressing both A and B at the same time will send the symbol to the other microbit's LED screen. You can use the preset images in MakeCode Editor or make your own symbols and create a secret language. You'll need 2 microbits to try this project out in real life, but if you don't have enough microbits, you can still follow along and run the code in the simulator. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get started. So head over to makecode.com and then click on microbit and then click on new project and give our project a name. I'll call it messenger. And then click create. And then when I get into the editor, I'm just going to get rid of this forever block because we don't need it. And the first thing we want to do is just set our list of images. And to do that, we're going to use an array. If you've never used an array before, it's like a variable, but instead of just holding a single value, it holds a list of value or multiple values. In our case, it's going to be images. So I'm going to click on the click on advanced and then click on arrays, and then under create, grab this first block that says set list to array, and we'll drag that into our on start block. So now we have a list and we're going to populate it with images. So to do that, I'm going to click on the images drawer and just grab this icon image block and drag that into the first slot of our array. So right now we have 2 spots in our array, 2 pieces of data, and right now it's just a 0 and a 1. And we can click this plus button to add more items to our list or our array. So we're going to drag this icon image into the first spot of our array. And you can click this drop down to change the images to these like pre-formatted images. If you want to use your own images, under the image drawer, you can use this create image block instead. But just to kind of make this tutorial go along a bit faster, we're just going to use these pre-made images. So now I'm just going to right click on this image and duplicate and then drag it into the next slot in our array and then just change the image. And then I'm just going to do that till we have a big array full of lots of images. And then as I keep pressing plus, it kind of changes the layout here. So in my first demonstration I had a bunch of images, but just to speed things up here, I'm just gonna, I think that is enough. So you can make this array as long as you want with as many images as you want. Feel free to pause the video and make as many as you want. So now by default, we want our microbit to show the first image in our array. So to do that, we're going to go to the images drawer and then grab this show image, my image at offset block, and then we'll change this. Instead of my image, we want it to be the first item in our array. So what we'll do is go back into arrays and then under read, grab this list get value at 0 block. And we'll drag that into the show image block and get rid of this. So now it's going to show the image in our list array at 0. So the thing about arrays is the way they're indexed is from, like, they start at 0. So 0 is the first slot in the array. Then 1 would be the second image. So arrays always start at 0. So 0 always means the first, 1 the second, and so on. Great. And now the next thing we're going to do is add in the functionality to cycle through the images in our array by pressing the buttons. And we're going to need a variable that keeps track of where we're at in our array. So we're going to create a variable that keeps track of the current image. So go into variables and click on make a variable. And we're going to call our variable current image. Click OK. And then grab this set current image block. And we're going to set it to 0 because when we first start our program, our current image is going to be 0 because that's what we're setting it to here. So now that we got that all set up, let's add the functionality to cycle through and select our images. Okay, so when we press our B button, we want to change our current image to the next image in our array. Unless we've reached the end of our array, then we want to switch back to the first image. So to start, we'll go into the input drawer and grab this on button A pressed, and we're going to change it to B. And then we're going to need an if statement. So go into the logic drawer under conditionals and grab this second block, the if true then else block. So to set up our condition is going to be if our current image is less than the length of our array minus 1. Because the length of our array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 images. But the last image is indexed at 5 because our array starts at 0. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we want to check if our current image is less than the length of our array minus 1. So let's build out this condition. So go back into the logic drawer and under comparison, grab this 0 less than 0 block. And the first part that we're comparing is going to be our current image variable. So go under variables and current image and drag that in. And then we want to check if that is less than the length of our array minus 1. So go into the math drawer and grab this 0 minus 0 block and drag that in. And then we want the length of our array, so go into arrays and then grab this length of array, and it's going to be the length of our list array minus 1, which should be 5. So if that value is 5, then it means we're at the end of our array, and so we won't worry about that for the first part of our if statement. So in this case, if this condition is equal to true, then we're not at the end of our list, and we'll simply go to the next item in our array and show it on the microbit. So first, we're going to change our current image value by 1. So go into variables and grab this change current image by 1 block and drag that in. And then now we've changed which image we're at in our array. Let's show it on the screen. So go into images and grab this show image at offset block And we don't want to show this my image variable. We want to show our current image. In our current image is in our array. So actually, let's get rid of this. Go into our arrays drawer, and under read, grab this list get value at 0 block, and we want to get the value of our current image. So go into variables and then grab this current image block and drag that in. So we'll show the image in our list that is at the value of our current image. So otherwise, if we're at the end of our array, then we want to loop back to the front of our array images. So in this else portion of our if-else statement, go into variables and grab this set current image to 0. And we'll leave it at 0 because in this case we want to loop back to 0, which is our first value in our array. And then we can just duplicate this show image block, and we've set our image back to the beginning, and we want to show that image. So let's try in the simulator now. If I press the B button, it keeps going to the next image in our array, and now that we're at the end, if I click B, it loops back to the front. So that's great. Now the next thing we want to do is program the button A press, and if button A is pressed, we want to go to the previous item in our array, unless we're at the beginning, in which case we'll loop forward to the last item in our array. So to program our button A pressed, go into input and grab the on A button press block and grab another if-else statement from the logic drawer. And so this condition is going to be a little bit different. So if the A button's pressed, we want to go back one image, but only if our current image is greater than 0, which means, we're not at the very beginning of our array. Otherwise, if our current image is not greater than 0, that means we're at the very beginning of our array. If we press A, we want to go cycle back to the last image in our array. So this first condition is going to be if our current image is greater than 0. So go under logic and under comparison, grab the 0 less than 0 block and change it from less than to greater than. And then under variables, grab our current image variable and drag that in so it says current image greater than 0. So if that's the case, we want to cycle back one image. So we'll go into variables and grab this change current image by 1 block and make it -1. So we'll set our index back 1, and then we want to show that image. So go under images and show image, and then get rid of this my image block, and then go into arrays, and then under read, grab this list get value at block. So we want to show the image in our list, and its value is going to be this chain or this current image block. So go under variables, current image, and drag that in. Now otherwise, we want to set our current image to the last image. So we'll loop back and change it to the last image, which will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So otherwise, go into variables, set current image to, and we'll make it 5. And then we actually want to show that image. So we can just duplicate this show image block and drag that in. So we're setting the current image to the last image in our array and showing it. So now in our simulator, I can go forwards right to the end and it'll cycle back to the beginning. And similarly, the A button will just keep going back. So that's great. The next thing that we want to do is send our message, our image, to the other microbit using the radio functions. So the radio functions are actually the easiest part of this whole project. The way it works is if you go into the radio drawer and grab this radio set group block, drag that into your on start block, and we can just leave this set to 1. And basically, when we set the radio group, as long as 2 or more microbits are set to the same radio group, then they can send and receive data to each other. So we'll use the same code for both microbits. So for both, they'll automatically be set to the same radio group 1. And so when we press the A and B buttons at the same time, we will send our current image that we've selected to the other microbit. So go into input and grab the on A button press block and change it from A to A plus B. And when these 2 buttons are pressed at the same time, we'll want to send our current image value that we've changed by pressing our A and B buttons. So go into the radio drawer and grab this radio send number block and drag that in. And we want to send the number that is stored in our current image variable. So go into variables and grab our current image variable and drag that in. So when both the A and B buttons are pressed at the same time, we'll send whatever value or whatever image we currently have selected. So now we just have to tell our microbits what to do when they receive that number. So we're sending out a number. What do we do if we receive a number? So go back into radio and grab this on radio received block. So when we receive a number, which is going to be the current image from the other microbit, let's show that image on our screen. So go into the images drawer and grab this show image block. Get rid of this my image variable, and we're going to set it to arrays, and under read, grab the list get value at block, and we want to set this to our received number. So if I just grab this received number variable, I can drag it into the value, and that should it'll get that received number from the other person's current image variable and show that in our array of images, which is the same. So that's how it all works. So now if I choose an image and I press the A and B button, it sends it, let's try it again, it sends it to the other microbit. And vice versa, if I choose a different image on this microbit and I press A and B, it sends it to the other microbit and the message gets displayed. So the last thing we can do is create a way to clear the screen and So if you get a message and you want to clear the screen and kind of reply back, then we can create a way to do that. Now, we don't have any more button inputs, but what we can do is use the onShake block. And what this does, if you shake the microbit, it'll sense it, and then we can tell it to do something. So onShake will just reset our program so that it just displays the first image in our array again. So if we go to images, grab the show image block, get rid of this my image variable, and then go into arrays and just grab this list, get value at 0, and that will show the first image in our array again. And then we want to make sure we set our current image, or we reset it back to 0. So go into variables and set current image to 0. And now we have everything in place, so we can send messages, and then we can receive messages. And then the simulator lets you simulate a shake. So if I shake my microbit, it resets it back to the first image. Great. So now our code is complete, and you can download it and flash it onto your microbits and test it out in real life. Again, as I was saying, you can create as many image options as you want, and under images, you can also use the create image block to create your own image, maybe create your own secret language, whatever you want. You can also use text if you want to have like predefined kind of text messages. You can use that as well. So I hope you guys found this interesting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and most importantly, I hope you have a great day. Thanks.